Three, two, one.
It's January 5th, 2024, and I woke with the weirdest thought about the direction the MCU is going and how it's just not the same. Now, I understand that our favorite properties and IPs go through highs and lows, but some of the projects put out over the last couple of years just don't hit the way they used to. I'm Call Me Calendar, and this is my attempt at a short video essay on a topic that's probably been done by plenty of people and outlets. Maybe I'll touch points that haven't been covered. Maybe I'll be repeating everything that was already said, but this is a new series I'm starting called Hold Up, Wait a Minute. Now, anyone with common sense is a Marvel fan and should love the MCU. If you don't, then you're a little misguided, but it's okay. We all make mistakes. In all honesty, I don't even know where to start, but I guess we'll start with a conversation I had with my dad. It all started last week. I got home after watching Godzilla Minus One, fire movie by the way, and my dad called out to me super excited about an article he just read that was kind of trashing Marvel Studios and how the MCU was just a speck of its former glory. You should have heard the excitement in his voice and how he wanted me to read it. But before I even started reading it, I just started to realize, yeah, I kind of agree. I know I'm late to the party, but all these thoughts just started to rush at me at once. I told him that kind of makes sense in some ways, and he was surprised. Now, I'm not sure for you, but my dad was the one who got me into comics. Spider-Man was the first superhero I was ever introduced to, with the first issue I've ever owned. I made sure to watch almost everything Marvel related pre-MCU, the 60s Spider-Man cartoon shows, the old Incredible Hulk TV shows, X-Men animated series, old Fantastic Four cartoons, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, anything you can think of, even the old Avengers cartoon shows that was just stills from the comics with lips animated to barely move. And God, was that a sight to see. But he was the one who put me down this rabbit hole for comics, and he thought I would be the last one to say something negative about the MCU. And boy was he surprised. Once I saw him almost break his neck after hearing my response, I clarified that mostly everything I felt was specifically after Endgame, and that was just not that great in all that honesty. From the quality of the projects just aren't being the same. They're getting these big name actors to play these roles when I don't think they need to, and it just flops because maybe they pay them too much or whatever else. Sometimes the visual quality just isn't the same, and people are also starting to get superhero fatigue. And theaters, media, it's just starting to get oversaturated with these kinds of movies and shows. So now others who aren't diehard fans and committed to seeing it through just don't want to watch anymore. So I'm going to these theaters super excited for crowds, and some of these theaters just aren't as packed like they used to be. And I'm starting to get hurt thinking that people aren't really fans or not really about it. But in fact, it's just a whole bunch of different things that are starting to make sense. So in no particular order, I probably won't even touch all the points that I said. But let me start with this oversaturation of movies and TV shows. The first movie that launched the MCU was 2008's Iron Man, a masterpiece by the way. You had people of all ages in these theaters watching this movie. Parents who grew up reading the comics, new kids who were just superhero fans, and ones who had no background in comics. But this movie made sure to get everyone excited. Everyone was lined up with their tickets, eager to buy a popcorn, waiting to see the action unfold on screen. And finally, having their jaws drop once Tony Stark says his iconic last line in the movie, "I am Iron Man." It was perfect. It showed everything that needed to be done and got everyone excited for a sequel. We all left the theaters once the credits hit, just to hear through the grapevine, "Yo, did you see that post-credit scene?" Well, what do you mean post-credit scene? We soon did our research just to see the baddest mother Samuel L. Jackson pull up on the couch with an eye patch and drop some bars about the Avengers Initiative. And it was at that moment that we all knew there was more to come. Yeah, we got 2008's Incredible Hulk soon afterwards. Personally, I forget that was even part of the universe, but we had to wait 2 years for the next project, which was Iron Man 2 in 2010. Then a year afterwards, we got Thor and Captain America, the First Avenger, to drop in 2011. And then finally, the Avengers dropped in 2012, which closed Phase 1. Marvel Studios had us patiently waiting for these movies because they knew once they dropped something, we would need to get our fix. And that is the key thing. We were patiently waiting for everything. Phase 1 had 5 movies released within a 4-year span. The engine was then ramped up a little bit for Phase 2 and 3, which gave us 18 properties that was connected to the MCU. 21 if you include Agent Carter, Inhumans, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that was within a 7-year span. Arguably, most of those projects hit. They did their thing and understood the assignment. 2019 then ended on a high and made plenty of money, and we were all excited for what Marvel had in store for us next. As I backtrack, Phase 2 gave us 8 projects within 4 years, with Phase 3 giving us 11 within 3 years. And I would quietly think, damn, they're really turning out these movies, and I'm here for it. I wouldn't be mad if they kept the same energy. Now, not only did they keep the same energy, but they gave us more. It was like they were the husband who forgot the wedding anniversary, and they were working overtime to make it up to their wife. So to make it up, they gave us Phase 4. 17 TVs and movie projects, both connected to the MCU within a span, if I'm correct, arguably 2 years. First project was for Phase 4, I believe, was Black Widow, which released in 2021. And the last major movie for Phase 4 was Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The first year of 2021, I was excited because for a time we had a Marvel project coming out for what felt like every month of 2021. And I was here for it, especially during that COVID time. From WandaVision to No Way Home, there was so much hype. And it wasn't until I heard some of my students say that they were going to skip some of these movies and TV shows, and all those comments started to get stored in a mental vault because I was surprised and shocked. Like my dad, I didn't expect this response. I asked why, and the most common response was just that it's a lot of work to stay up to date with all these TV shows. You get all these movies and TV shows that are connected together, and it starts to become tedious in some way to watch all of these properties. You wouldn't know why Wanda was walling out in Multiverse of Madness unless you watched WandaVision. So Sam Wilson is going to become Captain America now? I wonder how that's going to go. Well, you gotta watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier just to see a portion of that. Why did Loki disappear in Endgame? And how is the timeline still good? Well, check out Loki to see what's up with it. Well, who was Moon Knight and Miss Marvel? And how does it connect to this new multiverse saga? Well, check out the TV shows and you'll see. Moon Knight, not so much, but there is some kind of connection with Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. I guess the name is similar for a reason, so just check out that TV show. And I know why Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel's name is similar. Like, come on now. After a while, though, you have some of these movies and shows where you need to watch one so you can understand the context of the other, and it starts to get jarring. I'm not even adding in the mixture of DC shows and movies which come out around the same time and add to the confusion where people are acting, oh well, is this connected to the other? I can't wait for Batman to join the Avengers. He seems so badass, and that's definitely something that I have heard, and I understand that you can't avoid the confusion sometimes, especially for those who aren't really into the comic culture. But with competing studios releasing stuff around the same time, it's due to get some more confusion. And then the superhero fatigue starts to become a real thing. And since I'm just talking about Marvel, it's starting to become a lot. Now, I've already invested years of my life into the MCU. I'm dedicated to see how this ends. So I'm not by any means going to quit now. But I already know that there are plenty of people who just aren't built for that kind of commitment. To watch everything that connects in order to paint a bigger picture, especially when some think the connecting properties aren't that good. There's that saying everyone should know, quality over quantity, and that's what Marvel needs to go back to. I know these movies were making all this money, becoming a cash cow for the business, so now you can afford to push out more movies and TV shows. But sometimes, less is more. The pacing for releases in regards to the MCU is starting to become too fast, where people can't keep up. Yes, I understand that these movies are, again, bringing in money, but bruh, let me and the fam breathe for a second. Put out a movie or two, or maybe 3. Let it digest. Don't rush me while I eat. If I eat my food too fast, I can't enjoy it. I might throw up and I get sick. And the ones who aren't the diehard fans are the ones who are starting to get sick. Best thing about the MCU is that it was for everyone. Those who know comics and those who don't. It got everyone excited. They built up the hype in between these projects, and we got excited for the next one because we know that the previous one was fire. But with all these projects coming out, you can't continue to put out a great one, then a good one, and then go 10 mid to bad projects afterwards within an 8-month span. You lose the hype. Nobody wants to see your stuff because it's not good, and you lost our faith. I was so excited when Secret Invasion was announced because that storyline has so much depth. The idea of the Skrull posing as our favorite heroes to fill in their roles during the great the blip, it's great. The idea of it just had my brain going in so many directions to see how this was going to be pulled off. And then it got here. And I was so disappointed with the final result, especially those effects. Now, I'm definitely not asking to be in the writer's room, the head office, whatever it is that makes those decisions. But sometimes you just gotta let the group sit back and cook. It could be several reasons why the writing wasn't the best. Maybe they were set on crunch and nudged, quote unquote, to put something out. Maybe they weren't paid enough and given enough time to come up with something that they truly believed in. Maybe the right people weren't in the room. Maybe the effects team wasn't given enough time to cook. There could be so many things that we don't know about, but we all know the key point to a good story is making sure it grabs your attention. A wise person once told me, you can speak to a group of people and there will be some that forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Quality writing, great pacing are pretty big parts of storytelling, and Marvel just isn't doing that as much or anymore with these movies, even the TV shows. Like, if they went on hiatus to just cook, that way they can put us in our feels at the theater or even at home watching the show, I would be completely okay with that. I wish things went back to the time during the Infinity Saga. I can handle 3 movies a year and then a big collaboration 4 years later. It's manageable. I can still be hyped once it releases. Hell, even less. I could always think to myself, I know they were in the kitchen slow cooking whatever we just had for dinner because that thing just slaps. We got what we were wishing for, which was more Marvel, and now we're regretting it. Our eyes were bigger than our stomach at the buffet, and now we just can't eat anymore because we're too full. We can't digest what's in front of us. And just a fair warning, this next one is going to be a hot take. Now, I'm not the first to say this, I know this, but we all love seeing our favorite actors bring roles of fictional characters to life. Fan casting even. Seeing these big names as heroes and villains. The easiest fan cast was John Krasinski pulling up as Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness. For such a small amount of screen time, just for Scarlet Witch to pull up, do her thing, and just show that he's not popping up again. I mean, hey, we got what we wanted. Now Pedro Pascal is taking his place. Even Angelina Jolie and the majority of the cast from pulling up in Eternals, which came out of left field in my opinion. Now, this is a hot take, but I just don't think we need these big name actors pulling up in these movies. Put some other actors, some diamonds in the rough on screen, and let them bring these characters to life. The pacing of movies can almost make it feel like you don't need almost makes it feel like you need a big name to save a franchise or a movie to bring in a crowd. But in reality, you don't need to. Think of it like this. When you're introduced to these characters for the first time, whether they're a hero or a villain, majority of the time their secret identity isn't known. They just fit into the background. Peter Parker was a nobody. People didn't really pay attention to him in the beginning of his stories. He is, or if anything, was looked at as polar opposites of his superhero persona at first. He was looked at as the other. Spider-Man was a complete 180 from Peter Parker. Sorry, what did I just say? Yeah, Spider-Man was a complete 180 from Peter Parker. Whoa, this is a tongue twister. Spider-Man, I don't know how it's a tongue twister actually. Spider-Man was a complete 180 from Peter Parker. So when you just look at the two, you see someone different. You're surprised by how they can just switch up and turn on this other persona. Bucky Barnes was a soldier who wanted to do the right thing, but was brainwashed into a murderous assassin, used and exploited by organizations. When the connection was made, everyone was shocked, surprised. There was even a connection. Thor is this righteous, blonde-haired person, but Donald Blake, his persona at first that Odin had him take when he was sent to Earth, was a man walking around with a cane and a doctor. You see the hero, villain, and secret identity as two different things. This might be a hot take, but I feel like the MCU should look for these kinds of actors. Ones where you don't know who they are, fit into the background, and then when you turn the corner, they bring these characters to life. They offer you that wow factor. Bring in someone you don't know, just like with character secret identity. You don't need to know someone to make a movie a success. I feel like you have more of a wow factor with someone you don't know as well, compared to someone that everyone does. I obviously don't have answers, and the actors' take might have been a stretch, but hey, it's just an opinion. Marvel Studios is great, and I'm sure they have some more things cooking, but sit back for a little bit, slow cook the ribs, tweak the barbecue rub, and top it off with some great sauce to serve at the cookout. No need to rush it. It's well worth the wait. And I know that Fahey knows that. Go on hiatus for a little bit. Make sure everything is good and that you got faith in it. Do that and we'll always come running. This is Call Me Calendar, and thanks for listening.